Hi.
Hi, Vivian.
So good to see you.
I was watching that picture. It's like brings me such a great memories, no?
It really is. It really is. We have such a good time. So many good times, really. So yeah, I think actually when I think back that my time at the University of Michigan must have been some of my best years, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, that, but as you have said in the previous conversation,
yeah,
uh, conversations is like we were like a family, and we really were like a huge family, and yeah.
yeah. I mean, thank you for saying that because that's exactly the one of the reasons that I felt that I wanted to do this, no, to reconnect with my family from the University of Michigan. That just like you said, there were such incredible years in any way, because also if we think those moments when you are at the university probably are the moments when you are discovering yourself too. No, you're meeting new people. You are so intensely practicing and rehearsing.
I know.
Everything's intense.
Yeah, everything is really, really intense. And I
Yeah.
remember the second year I lived with Kotri, and I think my first class started at 8:15 or something. That was a crazy hour, and I think Kotri was getting on really early too. So I was getting a ride with her in a car where it said "honk if you're finished." Actually, I have a picture of her car uh, with a sign. And so we were actually driving to school, and then we drove back around midnight.
Mm,
And then we slept, and then it was a new day. And
yeah.
one of the times she was actually writing her doctoral assignment for the tango, the Finnish tango,
Uh-huh.
um, vs the Argentinian tango. And we were listening to the Finnish tango like 8 o'clock in the morning. Nobody said anything. We were just really quiet, listening to the tango. And it was just the same when we were driving back. When we were driving back, like around midnight, nobody said anything, but you still, how like the music with the Finnish tango in her car.
Yeah, I mean that
It's a
was
great
that was
image.
yeah, I that was our life at Michigan. It's like the whole day at the university, which
Yeah.
made it so incredible, so beautiful because the space also was so incredible with the pond, remember?
Oh
That
yeah, yeah. The park. It's so beautiful, really. Yeah, with the
yeah.
fountain, and the birds, the Canadian geese. That was not so fun because they were pooping all over the place. But they had some characters there too, so it was a
Mm.
part of the community.
Thank you, Vivian, for bringing all these images back to my heart. No,
Yeah.
um, Vivian, where are you now? Tell me.
I'm in Oslo.
Uh huh.
So I've lived here uh, on and off actually, but I lived in Oslo since basically since 2008, and then I was commuting between Sweden and Oslo
Mm-hmm.
for like almost 2 years. But so yeah, but
Uh-huh.
since 2013, I've been back here, living in my own apartment.
Right.
So yeah.
And were you born in Oslo or not? Tell us now a little bit about the Vivian is a little baby and a child, and
Actually, I
how.
was, yeah.
Yeah, and also tell me your experience about early life with music.
Yeah, I was born in Flora, which is the most western city in Norway. It's a very small city. My parents were actually teenagers when they got me. So my mom was 17 and my dad was 18 or 19. Um, so they were actually forced to marry. Because that's how it was at that time. My dad, he played electric bass in a rock band. So, and they used to tour around in the community. Um, so I remember my first memory must have been that they were rehearsing in the living room. So it was not really classical music at first. It was actually like probably Deep Purple and really heavy stuff. The Doors, maybe, you know, that's like in the 70s. And so, and then my dad just decided that he wanted to get out of this little town and to study music. I'm not really sure how he got into the double bass, but he already played electric bass. So, so which is, I mean, it's kind of close.
Yeah.
But he was earlier a really talented trumpet player when he was a young boy, and he was like the solo trumpet player in the local marching band. So he actually got in at the music conservatory on trumpet, and then he later on got into the classical double bass. And my mom, she was working. She had an office job just to keep everything together. So then he actually got into the Academy of Music in Oslo. So in 1980, the family, we moved to Oslo. And he was a student there for like 3 years. And my mom was still working. She just paid all the expenses. And at the time, actually, my dad actually got into Hartford to study with Gary Carr at the Connecticut Hartford University. So he was there. He was away from us, but he studied in there. And then he came back. So that was actually, I have a really fun story about that.
Tell us.
Because I remember I was really proud of Dad that I looked through all these student pictures from Connecticut and Hartford time. And some fun pictures. It looked like they had a lot of fun, like we used to have, you know, when we were students. And then later on, I was a student myself. I think that must have been maybe the third or second year, maybe the second year, I think, at U of M. It was the beginning of the semester. It didn't really start yet. It had not started yet, but we were out. I don't know if you were there, but we were playing pool at what is it called? The One-Eyed Moose. Does that sound correct? That was a pool table there. And there was this new conducting student, and I don't remember his name, but he used to play the trumpet. And we were just talking. He was new and he was a bit older than the rest of us. And he said, yeah, I used to know this Norwegian bass player. I used to study with him. And then I just said straight on, oh, you don't mean my dad, like the Erling Sunnarvik. What? How did you know? You know, and that was just straight on. And so he came to University of Michigan, but he had already studied with my dad at Hartford. Like maybe that must have been like a long time, maybe 15 years earlier or something. So
I wonder who that was. Maybe it was Tim Shimanek, maybe?
It could be. No, not him. Because Tim was same age as us.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Maybe somebody knows here. who that could be and can text it. Right. I just don't remember right now. It's just gone. But maybe that person is watching now. And I think maybe you must have studied with him too at conducting. So, yeah. So that's one of the, like, how small the world can be sometimes. It's really amazing.
Vivian, it's interesting to hear you because it reminds me a little bit of the life of my father. My father passed away last almost a year ago.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
He was also a bass player.
Yes.
But I remember when I was young, I remember my father having rehearsals with jazz, no? And
Yes.
and they would rehearse at home for hours and hours and hours. And then I remember waking up the next morning and having this drum set at home. No, it's like it was like I want to try this. No,
Yes.
So so we did play with it many times. But I was also remembering that my father started playing music as a violinist, probably self-taught, no? But when he told me this, no, when he heard Elvis Presley, he fell in love with the bass.
Oh yeah.
And then he studied bass. But so it's amazing how somehow the stories relate. And I heard a story that my father also used to play. He was so talented, no, so talented, and he used to play in a group, salsa group, you know, and they had one gig one night, and the trombone player couldn't come. He played the trombone.
What? That's amazing.
So it reminds me of your father, no?
Yeah, that he didn't start up as a classical musician, but was he a classical musician too? He played in an orchestra,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah, then he went to the university and he studied bass, like in the academy, and he played in the symphony for all his life. Yeah. So Vivian, how did the cello come into your life?
It was a birthday gift. We were living in Bergen, and I just remember that my dad said, "Yeah, if you want," I don't think I really wanted to move to Oslo, but he got into the Norwegian Academy of Music, and so he was. He was really ambitious for his own career, and I didn't want to move, but he said, "Yeah, but if you want to move, you can get to play the cello. You know, that would be so nice." So I'm not even sure if I knew what the cello was. I knew what the piano were because we had a piano in the living room. And my uncle played the piano. But I'm not sure if I really knew what the cello. So I said, yeah, sure. So we got to Oslo and we moved. That's when I started school, and so I think actually my dad, who was a student there, he made the cello professor at the academy to pick out the best like little cello that was like in the store, and that professor actually later became my teacher. So but I didn't know that then, so that's how the cello got into my life. So but I had many teachers at the time, and I guess I was not really serious about the cello. I was more interested in dressing the cello with like hats and and dresses actually, and clothing my cello. And I didn't practice because every time I was practicing, I think that's a lot of like parents do wrong. They say, "Hey, I'm going to show you," you know. And my dad going to show me. He took the cello, and then he said, "Oh, this is so fun!" And he just forgot that I was supposed to practice this on my own. He just took over and started. Oh, this is sound. Oh, it sounds so good, you know. So I thought it was so exciting. So I've probably had like 3 or 4 teachers the first 3 years, and so I actually started playing the trumpet or the B cornet in a marching band instead, because then you play together with other. And I guess, I mean, at school there were a lot of people playing there, and I thought that was a lot of fun. So I had a career as a band musician too. Interesting.
You mentioned that it's so much more fun when you play with others, no? Because
That is so true.
you get inspired and you realize that, oh, I can do this with others and have fun, no?
Oh, yeah.
I could you share with us your experience when your first orchestra experience when you did Sherazade?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I was we had moved back to Bergen at that time. So that's when I actually started to play with others, and I started to practice. When I was 10, my dad said, if you start practicing 3 hours a day, maybe one day you can actually get into the Academy of Music. So, oh yeah, sure. So I was 12, and I auditioned for this orchestra, this regional youth orchestra. And I'm not sure if I knew a few people of my friends who were already there. So yeah. So I auditioned alone for the conductor. And he was like, oh, well. And then I was just placed in the second desk, and we were, the assignment or what we were doing was actually the Scheherazade, and so beautiful. I mean, that music is such an adventure. I mean, it is an adventure, but I think this today, that musical piece means so much to me, really. But at that time, oh my God, that was so hard. I didn't really, I didn't have the technique, to be honest, to manage to do this. I mean, that was such a steep curve of learning to me, that so I had to take extra lessons to even manage. But still, that was so much fun. And we were going to Austria, and I don't think I ever had been abroad. I think that must have been in 1986. So that was just like the Chernobyl had probably happened. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it did happen the same year. And the West and East Germany were still, I remember we were driving through bus through Germany, and I just looked at the forest. At that time, it was so damaged by industry. I mean, it's so weird because we didn't really have much of that in Norway. And we knew that it was the iron, you know, what do you call the iron carpet? Do you say that? Yeah. Or the iron, it was still there. It was such special times in the world. The West, and then you had the Russia and the Soviet Union, you know, it was such a special time. And then we went through, and we probably could see over to East Germany, and then we got to Austria, and it was such an adventure. And the first day when we woke up in Innsbruck, I didn't realize how tall the mountains were. And that's something that I still remember so vividly. It's just that in the morning, it was a bit like, you know, misty in the mountains. So you couldn't really see. But then it cleared. And, you know, I felt like the mountains, the Alps, it was like never ending. It was so amazing. And that's where we performed the Scheherazade, you know, yeah.
Such a beautiful, Thank
And
you.
actually, many of the musicians from that orchestra, there are musicians today. And
Oh,
some of them, two of them are actually really famous conductors in Norway. And some of them have international careers, and even some people I've worked with, I've been colleagues with, I worked with them in the orchestra. So it's so interesting how you meet people at a very young age, maybe already from 10, and then you kind of follow people into your adult life.
yeah.
uh, it's really interesting, and
It's
I don't think that's in if I had chosen maybe ordinary profession, that's you don't really see the people you always grow up with too. So yeah.
um, I was thinking about my own experience as a young violinist, no? 12 years old, 13, 14, 15, that once I thought, oh, this is, I just love this, no? And I had so much passion for just, I want to do this so well, no? With the tools that I had as a musician, and with the tools that my teachers had also for me, no?
Mm.
And then I'm curious to know how was for you to, what happened to you when you came to the United States? How was that experience for you in terms of, because like I said, I had a lot of passion, and what I felt is that that passion has had to be organized in a certain way so I can use it for my own benefit. How was it for you? And why did you decide to go to the United States? Hmm?
um, when I was pursuing my like bachelor at the academy in Norway, I was actually still living at home, um, because that was affordable. I just lived like 10 minutes from school by, like public transportation. So I lived like in the basement. There was like, like I had in the house, I had my own area, so I could like practice probably to midnight or 1 or late night. But um, I was I was in my last year, and I needed to, find out where to go next. I didn't feel like I was ready to go out yet in the professional life. So and then actually Professor Bengtson was having a master class in Sweden, not really far from the Norwegian border, and that's like 1 hour um, from Oslo. So we were like two cello studios, and so we actually traveled by bus to that place. It was like at school, so we actually slept. I think we slept in classrooms. um, or something. I really don't remember. I forgot that. But so I played for him, and um, I really enjoyed his playing. And he also had a recital, and I saw that as an opportunity to really also um, get some new experiences. That he was in Ann Arbor, and I talked to him about it, that the possibilities for auditioning, or sending a tape, or so he was really helpful with the application. And I felt that I had to go really far, or because I hadn't really traveled much. So and I lived, I was 23 years, and I felt really it was time to leave the nest. So I mean, it was many other of my student colleagues or people I studied that also lived at home, and it was not a normal in Norway that,
Mm.
um, I mean, unless you have to travel really far off, you still live to stay home to save money. But still, there were other people who, yeah. So that was a difference when I came to the States. I mean, that was so scary too. I was all alone for the first time in my life, and but still, it was such an adventure. Really, I didn't know what was expecting me.
Mm.
Really, everything was so new, and just to be in America, and I've seen everything in movies, even like the post boxes and the lawns, with the sidewalks. I mean, it's different, but it's wow, it's just like in the movies. So yeah, that was really exciting. Yes, that's really. Did I answer what you asked, or
Of course.
yeah?
Um, yeah, and how did it affect you musically, in terms of your playing? What did Benson did to you, that makes you feel, wow, yeah, this is interesting, no?
Yeah, well, actually, I think Bengtsson was really good for me at the time because I came from an environment where we were really passionate. Everything was about passion and
Mm.
sound and how to, just make people mostly cry, how to get that string in the audience's heart, and that was the most important thing about play. And I mean, it really is, but still, my technique was not really good. So at the time, I really needed I needed Bengtsson to just get things into system.
Mm.
So he was really good at that. To just have a system of the fingerings, and he used to say to me, um, he used to speak Danish to me though, but in English he said, "You need to know what you are doing."
Mm.
And that phrase have really stuck with me, that you need to know what you're doing and be in control
Mm.
of what you're doing. Because when I was 23, I was very dramatic and, I was. And so also, I think my technique could be like that too. And but I also played in a very difficult instrument with it was so I couldn't always press down the fingers because the um, the gap between the strings and the fingerboards were too wide, and that really destroyed a lot for my technique too. So I later on, as a student, when I was at Michigan, I changed my instrument
Mm.
to a much more suitable instrument. So I was always finding my instrument, and yeah. So, but I think he was really the right teacher for me at that time, just to get things, in system, and that's so he was really good at that, and he had such a good memory
Mm.
that was so amazing. Um, Yeah, I just remember also we had a studio class, and he was just going to try one of the other students' cellos, and then he just started to somebody, yeah, oh please, I think it was Tom Lancher. They said, hey, can you play the Kodali, the solo suite, Kodai? And he said, I haven't played that in 8 years or something, he said. And okay. And then he started on. And it was not even his own cello, it was somebody else's. And he just played everything.
Incredible.
And we were just sitting, like, we were like struck.
Mm.
We were in shock, literally. We were just, wow, that was so amazing. Um,
I I remember him so much that, you know, you will see him walk in the hallway, and he has this presence of inspiration, no? Of course, by watching him play all the cello suites by Bach by
Yeah,
memory in like 2 nights, I mean, that's completely impressive, no?
it really is. So yeah.
Yeah. And when he said that to you, when he said this phrase, you need to know what you're doing so you can have control of it. Did you realize about it in the moment, or now you look back at it and it makes sense to you?
Actually, I think it grew within me
Mm,
over time. It was not like then, but I always had that phrase when I was practicing, but it developed. So, and yeah, I think it just grew.
mm,
The understanding of it grew.
yeah.
So I
And
think it's something that follows me still. You need to know what you're doing because sometimes, I mean, very often we don't sometimes because, and it have to do like sometimes you really panic and yeah, and then it's really easy we just lose control over the ground and we start oh, I can't swim. It's like you're almost feel like drowning or so yeah, you need to know what you're doing, and I think that's a good thing to really keep um, your mind down to earth,
mm.
to keep your feet on the soil.
It's incredible. I feel that how important are the teachers, no? But that we have, because I mean, as you said, that phrase, it meant a lot to you, and it keeps meaning a lot to you, no?
Mm.
I remember, I'm trying to make a like analogy to probably a similar concept. I remember once, to Paul Cantor, I asked him, no, after a year of school, that the school was almost finished, and I asked him how did he feel about my playing, no? And I usually I wouldn't ask that because I was really shy and to ask those kind of questions, but I felt I really wanted to know, no? And he said to me, um, of course, he's always said so many beautiful things, no, Alejandra, you have done such an incredible work, and I'm so happy. And then he said to me, and you play the violin um, the way you feel. I mean, so if I'm having a good day, I will play great. If I'm having a bad day, I will probably not play great. So, but that was so important for me to hear, because I realized that this is something that I had to work. No, I could have bad days and good days, but I always had to sound fantastic, because
Mm.
the people that are listening to me, they want to listen to beautiful music, no?
Yeah, not
So
your
it was
mood.
so it was such a revelation for me to hear that from him, no? Of course, he said it in a very sweet way, the way he
Mm.
is, but it was so important for me to hear that, no?
Mm.
And so I just love when as a students we have those moments, no, that something clicks, and it's
Mm.
like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really. So yeah, that's really interesting.
Mm,
Uh, what you were saying, yeah, that I know a lot of musicians that playing. I mean, if they're in a really bad mood, they're not going to play really well. They're
yeah.
just
Mm,
it's like the instrument is just so an expression of everything that you are. But we also have to remember that um, the instrument doesn't necessarily define you. You are also an actor, and it's like you go walk on stage and you're putting on that role. You study the music, you studied everything, the composer, maybe the background of the composer when he wrote this. You have to go into that music, and that's what you have to give to the audience. The audience don't want to hear your mood, but I mean, if you can get some of it, it's just like a role character you know, you have to pick out and give everything, and that's like the language of music too, that that music can really touch people, and that's your role as a musician, to actually grab that and give that to the audience.
And I also think that that's also the part of, and also being a professional, no, in the sense that you have to be incredible all the time, no matter what is happening in your life.
Yeah.
Because what you said, you know, this is not about you. Music is not, I mean, it's all about you, but nothing about you.
Yeah.
No, and so it's so thank you for sharing this, because it's so interesting, you know, to make sure that what we do, it goes beyond us, no? So, and as what probably Mr. Benson said, is like, and you have to be in control. This one part of you that nobody can go in, no? That's
true. And that's actually one of his, also that he was really that, when he said to me also that, because I had some difficulties with one of the professors, and I was called into Bengtson's office. And I was crying, you know. And he said, you know, tonight, when you walk on that stage and you walk into that, keep your mask, your professional mask on. So wow. Whatever that you said, it's all about you, but then it's not about you at all. So you have to be professional. Which is also very difficult, because we are also humans. We really are. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know, this is something that I have learned a lot about being a conductor. That this sense of balance, because if you get passionate and so passionate, everything could just, like, I could totally like mess up everything, no? And I realized with conducting that there's of course there's always you there, because you're conducting, no? But this sense of an inner control. I don't know if control is the word, because I don't like so much that word, but your essence is always there, no? And you don't need to go crazy to achieve something. It's not necessary, no? Because then you lose the control.
I know exactly. I really know exactly that you need to know what you're doing, and can actually be passionate also by knowing what you're doing. But I really see the point that you have so much passion and you just totally lose it. So so many episodes. I don't know if that was losing about the passion, but I remember some of the greatest symphonic works, you know, like the Mahler's Third. It's just one of the probably one of my favorites. But the first time I played it was actually in Michigan. It was the end of the semester. It was really warm. It was damp outside, and there was the last concert. And we played. I was sitting on the first stand, and Kenneth Kieser were conducting. And it was just like in the end, the last moment. And, you know, it was like breathtaking. It's like you could touch everything, you know, in the concert hall, it was like, it was electric.
Mm.
And in the last moment, I think we had like maybe 2 pages left. And then he was conducting, and he was so passionate, you know, he was waving. And then he just hit the stand, the first cello stand, and all of the music just whoosh. Because we had like an old copy, so it was not hanging together. And I remember he said, pick it up. Pick it up. It's such a great moment. I mean, that was really dramatic. The music was super dramatic, and then this happened, and I think it was one of the twins. I don't remember, one of the twins. It was a violin or viola, and he was sitting. The cello twin was sitting next to him. I think he actually he just first I was thinking I just have to pretend, I have to play, you know, whatever, just be there, you know, be in the role, pretend like nothing. And we just tried to, and we collected everything. And so we managed to find the right place, you know, and to continue. But that was so dramatic.
Such a great story. I don't think I was there that year. No?
Sure, you must have been.
Yeah? Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, it was actually the same day. It was going to be like it was the end of the semester, and it was like even the naked mile. So
Yeah.
a lot of like the people, the students, the orchestra members, they're planning to run the naked mile. Even Kiesler, but I don't think he did.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was so. It was really amazing. Yeah, that's really one like great memory. That moment in Mahler, the Resurrection Symphony, so amazing.
Vivian, we have some friends here that are saying hello. Minitria, remember Minitria?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Vivian and Alejandra. Kelly Crandall.
Hi, Kelly.
Player. Yeah. And before, Sabine said hello. And also Annie Gogova.
Oh, Annie. Oh, hi,
So
Annie.
everybody is saying hello here.
Oh, so nice.
Such a it's so many images, Vivian. Amazing.
Yeah, really. That was such a good time we had, really.
Yeah.
So
Ann Arbor also is such an incredible city also to live and to study, you know, to practice. The university is so big, no?
it really is. It really is. And but it's so beautiful, like the architecture. It's so like Oxford, like on the down campus, which yeah, with the brick buildings and the cathedral style. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
So Vivian, tell me a little bit and now what you're doing these days. So after Michigan, you moved back to Norway? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, I did. So the first year I was substituting for a job, but I could have got it if I wanted to. I was actually like a regional musician with a trio, and I was a part of this position was actually teaching, 50% teaching and 50% playing in this group. So we also travel around at schools for playing for children, having like musical theater. So that was actually a lot of fun. So I didn't do much symphonic music at the time. I was even singing Painted Black by Mick Jagger at one of the shows. So we had so much fun. But then I felt like the community there was so small, and I tried to really have a lot of recitals, and I was inviting students, but they never showed up. Because the parents know it's such beautiful weather, we rather want to work in the garden, and which I didn't like that, you know. the way of thinking, because I was young still, and we were all still young, but I was so full of, I felt all this potential. I wanted to change the world, you know, I bring the classical music to everyone. And so then I actually moved from there. And so I started to substitute for different orchestras. So I ended up like actually in two orchestras that I was basically playing the most, and that was the Norwegian Radio Orchestra and the Christian Symphony Orchestra of Kristiansand. That was actually really small. I mean, both are kind of small orchestras, but that time the Kristiansand Orchestra was more like a chamber orchestra. Mm. So we did a lot of chamber music, and I also with them traveled on tours to China and even actually South America. Mm. So that was such an amazing time. Yeah, I think maybe I messaged you that I was going, but I mean we were not on the same paths. It's so difficult when you're on tour you cannot escape because you're traveling with groups. So but that was so because I never thought I would go to these places, but then I did. I was even in Argentina. And it was spring in Norway, but then it was like fall in Argentina, which is it's probably spring for you now. So yeah, it's so amazing. So and then actually in 2005 I substituted no not yeah I was like the I actually auditioned for a 1-year substitute for a co-principal cellist. So and I then I moved to the town and stayed there. So then I just felt like it was time for a change. So I moved back to Oslo. Yeah. So and then so I continued, and my partner at the time, we bought an apartment in, that's where I live now. We bought an apartment together in 2010 actually. So but then I also worked, I ended up, I was not really sure what I was, if I wanted to continue, because I was so I didn't do auditions so well. I felt that the experiences, I mean, the competition were so big, and it's like a sport. So I wanted to quit, really. I wanted to do something else. But then I ended up doing the Wagner. I was called in to the Wormland. It's just like a small opera orchestra, and they were going to do the entire ring cycle by Richard Wagner. And so I ended up doing that. At that time, I was not sure even if I could continue to play, because I had been in an accident. I broke my collarbone, and it takes years for that to heal, really. So that was actually a great opportunity to actually test out my physics, really. So, and it really worked, but I think that was the most difficult thing I ever played. To be honest,
I could imagine.
That was like 18 hours of opera, and believe it or not, we were only 3 people in the cello section, like a chamber orchestra. Wow. But they hired in an entire brass force of brass instruments, so it was really powerful, and people were actually traveling even from Australia just to get it, because that's how it works when people who are fan of the ring cycle. It's not performed very often, but people are actually traveling from the opposite side of the world just to get it. So that was so amazing. That was such an amazing time, really. So yeah, so then I got back, and now I'm teaching.
That's great. That's
yeah
great.
So I ended up I got back to Oslo because I actually got on trial for the same job as a co-principal in that orchestra, and after 1 year of a trial, I actually, the fun time was over, and I felt like in that town I was feeling more and more miserable. Um, so it's like Sabine said, it's actually equal that when you're on trial, it's also for you to find out, do you want to be there or not? So, but I felt so like there were so many people who wanted me to have that job. So I didn't listen to myself. So, yeah, so then, which is a big time learning. So then I got back to Oslo, and by accident, I just was in a position I could not say no to jobs, because it's very difficult. It's so many cellists here. You can only imagine the competition. So I just got into a teaching job, and I really, really loved it. So later on, I educated myself as a pedagogue, music pedagogue. So
it's incredible how we need to find our home, no?
Yes, exactly.
Of what really makes us happy, no? Because it's so different for everyone, no? I mean, as a violinist, I never thought I would be conducting these days, no.
No.
So it's such a different path for everyone, no. I was thinking about your Wagner experience, and there's a movement also for Mahler music.
Yes, amazing.
I have the privilege to be part of the Mahler Hour every month. Followers of Mahler's music who gather there and had we have incredible conversations about Mahler, about what people are doing in different parts of the world. And actually, I was remembering what you said about Mahler Third. I think I was there, but Resurrection is Mahler 2, remember?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, but I think it was Mahler 3rd. It was Mahler 3rd. Because I remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because I had the starting theme in my head.
Yeah, me too.
Actually, a couple of things. It's so.
That's Resurrection. Yeah.
Yeah, the Resurrections. That's what I mean.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I did that in here in Chile for a concert, and it was just fantastic, incredible experience.
Yeah.
Vivian, we have only 6 minutes.
Oh my God!
Before we finish with the conversation.
Yeah.
For me, it's so special to realize how each conversation is so different, no, from one to the other, and I really appreciate that that your sharing comes from your experiences, no? It's life experiences.
Yes.
That finally are our essence, no?
It really is, yeah. But still, like you said, we need to find our place, and of course, what I miss about orchestra is actually like the big, like the Mahler symphonies, where you're just a part of it. Like you're just an organism, but it's so important in a bigger thing, just like life. But I'm also really I really love teaching, and right now I feel like I'm more ambitious of my students, really. So I think.
I love teaching. I think
Yeah,
so much. It's so beautiful to go into the mind of the students and to work with what they share, with you.
it really is, and I'm really proud that some of my students that started as a beginner, they're now really, really talented. I mean, previous students, because they they moved on and are having a career as musicians. But also, if if some of them don't choose the career path as musician, I think as a role model, it's important to you bring that music into their life. And but it's not always about music. It's also about giving those children confidence to believe in themselves, that they can master things. I think that is as important as well.
Yeah,
Really.
totally.
So yeah, to give them something they can bring on with them in their lives.
Mhm. Well, that finally that's what it is, no? Like many times I mentioned that when we teach, we usually teach about life than we teach about music, no?
Mhm.
Because you need to think in a certain way. You need to explore things. I mean, there are so many concepts that come to my mind that they all have to do about life too. For example, I'm giving an example about playing the instrument here, no? And when the students are a little like the stuck, it's like they need to liberate. It's
Yeah.
like they're attached. I tell sometimes them, it's like your mom or your dad are not letting you go. Let
Yeah.
them
Yes.
go. So your hand has to be free, no? And but you need to allow the hand to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
There's so many examples, no?
yeah, that's I think is most can be difficult or interesting with teaching. It's like how to have to children for liberating, especially like teenagers, because some of them are so afraid of doing mistakes. They're so afraid to be different, and which is part of being teenager. But I think we have a really important role there to really make them feel confident in who they are, and just learn to accept themselves. Uh, so yeah. So
Well, dear Vivian, thank you so much for this conversation. We could keep forever here
oh
talking,
yeah, thank you.
and
Yes, we could do that. So well,
it's so really wonderful to see you and to hear you and to know that you're well, no? And
yes, same for that. You are doing well too, Alejandra. So good to see you.
good to see you too, Vivian.
Yes.
And as always, I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. I have seen some people from our times at University of Michigan, also some friends from Chile, and so I just want to say thank you again, Vivian, and I can't wait for to have a reunion and share life. No, maybe
Yeah,
I can create a orchestra concert so that you can all come and play.
I would love that. That would be great. Yes, absolutely.
So
No.
thank you again, and I will see you next Sunday in the same time, and I wish you everyone happy week. So thank you, Vivian.
Thank you,
Bye
Alejandra.
bye. Bye.
Bye.